Boruto 2 Blue Vortex Chapter 3 is finally here. Our color page this time around features Himewari as she's chasing after the bats of Boruto and Kawaki. The newfound emphasis on Naruto's daughter has been pretty cool to see so far. She still has a long way to go, but I totally expect her to gain some sort of meaningful power-up at some point. We open up to Code repeating the last thing Boruto said in the previous chapter. Rasengan Uzuhiko. Boruto approached the final Kara member without breaking eye contact. If looks could kill, Code would be 6 feet under already. Rotating winds wrapped around Boruto's body as he continued forward. Code carefully observed his opponent's hand. Thinking things through, he wondered if this might be an improved version of Boruto's vanishing Rasengan. A solid idea, but this was clearly something different. He knew that the technique was more like an invisible attack that's best used from a distance. It wouldn't be very useful in an ambush. For Boruto to close a distance so confidently, it couldn't be that. Code is over here trying to break down techniques like he's the copycat ninja or something. Bro has a scar over his eye, turned his hair white, and suddenly thinks he's Kakashi. Boruto continued to approach at his own pace. Code, meanwhile, wasn't the type to sit around and find out. He prepared his claws as several marks appeared behind Boruto. In an instant, Code was able to emerge from one in hopes of getting the jump on an unsuspecting Boruto. But when he lunged for the renegade, his attack was easily evaded as if the guy had eyes in the back of his head. Boruto has inherited a lot of things from the previous generation, but a blind spot was not one of them. He's got this whole ultra instinct vibe going on, and I love it. Forget blocking, forget attacking. Casually dodging is so disrespectful. Boruto quickly shifted his focus while Code was still in motion and prepared a strike of his own. He was ready to hit that boy with a swipe or no swiping jutsu. Seeing the impending danger focused on Boruto's palm, he grabbed hold of the boy's arm, which was mere inches from his face. But even while in Code's grasp, Boruto did not relent or appear to be phased. With the Uzumaki unable to escape, Code lifted his other arm to strike, and you already know that this man's hands are filthy. Code does not really strike me as the hygienic type. It's no wonder Eida doesn't like him. This dirty nailed attack of his was easily repelled by Boruto as he lifted his sword from its scabbard. Code trying to hit this man is like a pop-up to Ad Blocker Pro. And our boy Boruto is the type of guy to donate to the extension. Believing them to be at a stalemate, Code didn't hesitate to mock Boruto's confidence. No matter how strong Boruto's new technique might be, there's nothing to worry about if it doesn't manage to hit. Boruto just kept looking at Code with the same unwavering coldness. He simply reminded the guy that it's easy to kill him, and apparently, the move was already halfway done. The idea of this totally caught Code off guard. He was still holding Boruto, sure, but something was happening. The spiral began to move up his own arm. This is a classic case of you reach, I teach. Code needs to watch more Dora because this swipe attack was way too predictable. Boruto read him like a book and was not bluffing. Something was already happening beyond Code's comprehension. He was stunned to see the power cling on to him like this. More confused than he was defensive, Code released Boruto and began to inspect his own limb. All the while, Boruto's coldness remained. Unable to discern what was going on for himself, Code was left to ask Boruto what was happening. Threatening someone as stubborn and self-assured as Code is nothing but an exercise in futility. But Boruto decided to make himself clear one final time. This was Code's last warning. Code needed to take him to where the Ten Tails is. If he wasn't able to do that, then he would die here. Boruto has not bluffed once since returning. So at this point, this kind of declaration should be taken seriously. But again, Code continued to be a tough guy and disregarded yet another warning. Instead of listening, he did exactly what screwed him over a moment ago and rushed towards Boruto. But to Code's surprise, he wasn't able to hit the rogue shinobi. Looking over his shoulder in disbelief, Boruto was completely unfazed and even had his back turned. Code demanded that his enemy stop moving, but as far as we can tell, Boruto had barely moved, if at all. Code attacked once more, and yet again, he'd missed completely. It's often said that doing the same thing over and over again while expecting a different result is the definition of insanity. Well, Code's shocked face belongs in the dictionary at this point. Boruto was barely even trying. Code wondered what was up with the guy's movement speed. This was well beyond any feasible level of dodging. Was he starting to be like his grandfather? It also wasn't some sort of genjutsu or a use of clones. But I must say, Boruto with genjutsu would be pretty cool. The whole chakra-absorbing aliens with colorful eyes thing would kinda invalidate it though. Faster than Code's eyes could track, Boruto appeared behind him. Code never had any chance of victory here. Boruto has been treating him like a dumb kid from the very beginning. Quicker than Code could properly react, Boruto shoved his hand onto the invader's chest. The Rasengan Uzuhiko was now complete. The swirling winds began to pick up around his feet and then his entire body. Then with a sort of repulsion similar to a regular Rasengan, Boruto pushed Code away. Code cried out in dismay and panic. Boruto, meanwhile, had done all this casually. Code was sent flying through the air. The attack was disorienting, but it didn't take long for him to regain his footing. Certainly not a pleasant experience, but it wasn't nearly as overtly destructive as one might otherwise expect. Eida was observing their battle thanks to her Senrigan and was surprised to see that this was the attack Boruto had been hyping up. It was much simpler than she expected. She was relaying the entire event to her brother and wondered how it was any different from a regular Rasengan. Daemon, on the other hand, seemed to notice something a bit more impressive. He noted that Boruto had caused the ground to shake. Eida looked at her brother while waiting for him to elaborate. She may be able to see everything, but that doesn't mean she understands everything. Also, if she's focused on something like this, I doubt she's able to see something elsewhere. So her having Daemon around helps break things down. Correcting himself, Daemon noted that it was more than just the ground. Boruto's new move was on a planetary level. He was using the planet's rotation itself. This man Boruto has completely shattered the power scaling. This is such a mind-blowing feat, one that absolutely no one expected. Because if I were to tell you guys something like this would happen, only a handful of you wouldn't call me crazy. This man Boruto is tapped in with the planet. By your powers combined, I am Captain Planet. Naruto was the child of prophecy, but Boruto is the world's messiah. Let's not forget that Naruto already had a move called Planetary Rasengan. That's looking like Pluto right about now. Boruto is a hyper-intelligent version of his father, and that is the one thing Naruto had holding him back. Absolutely terrifying. And this is only chapter 3. Imagine the sorts of powers and moves he'll develop later on. Eida didn't really understand, but Daemon seems to be pretty entertained by the concept. Code, even if only fueled by his own frustration, managed to stand back up. A feat which honestly surprised Boruto, although you probably wouldn't be able to tell by his expression. Code's confidence was finally beginning to run low. When he looked at Boruto again, he saw an even greater spiral envelop him. Boruto calmly observed his own handiwork. Code couldn't make heads or tails of what was going on. Suddenly, as if hit by something, Code collapsed in front of his opponent, who stared down at him. Boruto approached while Code remained on the ground, unable to properly compose himself. He was totally at Boruto's mercy. Again, all he could do was directly ask Boruto what he had done. The rebel ninja told Code to savor the feeling well. He added that the sensation could be considered revenge for the very planet Code sought to destroy, the very notion of which was enough to frustrate and confuse Code even more. Boruto finally explained his new move. He was utilizing the very chakra of the planet itself. This Rasengan in particular had absorbed its rotation, a sensation that has now been shared with Code, one that will never go away, just like a planet doesn't stop its own rotation. Code struggled to rationalize the effects and could barely speak. As the rotation picked up yet again, Boruto let him know that the damage would be semi-permanent, that before the rotation of the planet comes to an end, Code's life would be over. Which is kind of the case for everyone, but I guess it's a little more pressing for Code. Code kept wobbling like Rock Lee with the drunken fist and couldn't help but compliment his opponent for the clever trick. At this point, simply standing up was a difficult task for him. Now that Code was completely at his mercy, Boruto stooped down and expressed his ability to release Uzuhiko. This time, Code didn't have anything clever to say back. And at this point, if I'm Code, I'm offering to personally escort Boruto to the Ten Tails. Forget Ishiki. That guy claimed to be a god, but I never saw him ask the planet for a favor. Boruto gave Code his two options. Either he patiently awaits a silent death, or he hands over the Ten Tails to Boruto to ensure his own survival. Code is such a non-issue for him that letting the guy live wasn't even a problem. Boruto knew all too well that Code was an idiot by now, but told the fool to think it over very carefully before making a decision. The disrespect levels are off the charts. and it looks like Code finally started to grasp the situation he's in. But before Boruto could get the information he was looking for, he noticed the entrance of another hard-headed person. Kawaki slammed down on Boruto's position, but Naruto's real son jumped out of the way. Kawaki stared at his foster brother for the first time in years. Boruto did the same while recognizing the intrusion. Kawaki is like a toxic ex, always wanting to show up at the worst possible time. From there, the new Ino Chocho appeared along with Himewari. Seeing her brother again after so long, the youngest Uzumaki called out his name immediately. And for the first time since returning, Boruto's expression seemed to soften up a bit. Not by much, but the coldness eased up slightly. I'm really impressed that he's been able to be such a badass for so long. Kawaki, meanwhile, turned his attention to Code, who for some reason remained unmoving. Shikadai wasted no time and demanded to know what a traitor like Boruto was doing in the Leaf Village. Furthermore, he wanted to know what he was talking about with Code. Boruto admitted that they were in the middle of negotiations and wondered if they would stop interfering. While they all spoke, Code silently created claw marks on the ground in hopes of escaping. Kawaki, however, wasn't going to let him and immediately removed the marks before Code could make his move. For a moment, Boruto just observed the situation. Shikamaru spoke to Kawaki and requested a status report. Kawaki wasn't sure what happened, but it was clear to him that Code was pretty exhausted. And if Kawaki had any sense, he'd recognize how strong Boruto must be to have done this so quickly and without any signs of damage. But now that he's removed all of Code's claw marks, the attacker shouldn't have any means of escape. In fact, he was pretty sure that they would be able to kill him right now. The Hokage recognized the fortunate opportunity and told Kawaki not to waste it. He wanted Code dead. Boruto, on the other hand, had different instructions for his brother. He wanted Kawaki to get away from Code immediately and told him not to provoke the guy. Kawaki has never really been one to listen to Boruto before and certainly didn't plan to now. He figured that if Boruto was willing to return to Konoha, then he must be prepared to die too. This distraction was enough for Code to make another move. A claw grime suddenly emerged from the claw mark on Code's head. Kawaki was forced to shift his attention yet again and did not hesitate to impale the creature upon its emergence. But Shikadai was quick to notice the real danger. Code mustered what little strength he could to move towards the monster and ultimately traveled through it. Code was doing a whole lot of talking just a few moments ago. Now he's already running off scared. Embarrassing performance. Kawaki got played. He completely fumbled what should have been a straightforward execution. Hearing that, Shikamaru again wanted to know what was going on. His son was the one to confirm that Code had escaped thanks to a claw grime. Shikamaru was frustrated, but made it clear that Code is still a threat to them. This didn't necessarily mean that he was going to run away with his tail between his legs. So even Shikamaru knows that Code belongs to that community, and that his real name is Swiper. They needed to get rid of all the monsters left in the village. And with that, I've got to give Shikamaru his credit. Never would I ever have expected a Hokage to simply shout orders from his office while the village is being attacked. This man hasn't thrown a single punch, but has his son fighting on the front lines. It's not even like we're seeing him execute some big brain tactics. Even Danzo would have done more. Shikadai confirmed his Lord Father's orders, but Kawaki told the others to go on without him. Himewari called out to Kawaki and called him Big Bro yet again, despite his previous protests. Kawaki claimed to have business with the missing nin in front of him. And looking at them side by side, Kawaki isn't the only one brooding anymore. Somehow, Naruto, the most upbeat and loudmouth ninja in the history of the world, managed to have two goth sons. The Sasuke blueprint is too strong. Sasuke's daughter, meanwhile, was preoccupied with finding a way to help the comrade that got stuck like a cat in a tree to save her. I would say that they're taking the whole Leaf Village thing to a whole new level, but these trees don't even have any leaves. Sarada rationalized that by eating an Otsutsuki, the Ten Tails is able to become a god tree. With that in mind, the natural instinct of these monsters might just be to eat people. The other Jonin with her figured that this might just be a failed god tree, one that ate something wrong. Sarada wasn't totally sure if that was the case, but she was certain of one thing. Their victim wasn't dead yet. There was still a chance that they would be able to save him. Elsewhere, Kawaki considered the fact that he hasn't seen Boruto in 3 whole years. And based on his new look and matching demeanor, Kawaki wondered if Boruto had become Sasuke's adopted son. Boruto admitted that he's happy to see Kawaki is still as rude as ever. Himewari seemed to be doing alright too. For as worked up as Sarada and Sumire seem to be over this whole life swap thing, Boruto doesn't seem like he really cares. At least not right now. Kawaki began to approach. He wanted to know why Boruto had returned. If Boruto wanted his hometown to be the place where he dies, then Kawaki didn't mind helping him out right now. Oh man, how convenient is it that the moment everyone leaves, Kawaki decides to say something that implies Boruto is the one that was born in the leaf and not him. We didn't actually see her leave, so I would love it if Himewari decides to stick around somewhere. Boruto admitted that dying in Konoha wasn't a bad way to go, but today wasn't the day for that. This is a simple line, but yet again, we have Boruto briefly speaking about possible outcomes. Him being able to access Momoshiki's ability to perceive fate would certainly explain his previous statement about the worst possible future. But on the surface level, he's right. A ninja dying in his homeland is ideally a pretty peaceful death. Most shinobi end up dying on foreign soil or all alone. But being away from others seems to be Boruto's way of life at this point. He sharply told Kawaki to back off. He had bigger fish to fry, and the karma user was in the way. Kawaki saw things the other way around, however. Clearly, he's out of the loop as to what Boruto's goals are, but his own require Boruto's elimination, so he's very antagonistic right now. Boruto didn't respond, but there was a bit of subtle rustling beneath his cloak. Surprisingly, it was a tiny toad. The amphibian confirmed his own infiltration. Code had now returned to his base, and this is exciting. It looks like Boruto made a summoning contract with the toads just like his father had. This could mean that besides training with Sasuke over the time skip, he may have connected with Kashin Koji, Jiraiya's clone, which would be really cool. Boruto asked the toad if the Ten Tails was also within range, but it wasn't yet. Code was having trouble just inching his way to his lair. He heaved while cursing Boruto for what he had done. He had to run home to check his briefs for a different kind of damage. As he made his way, Bug could be seen outside. He too had been enveloped by a false god tree. Code finally made it to the enclosure, but unbeknownst to him, a toad was in his pocket, and it saw the same thing that he did. It was the Ten Tails. Now, at a certain point, you gotta feel bad for the Ten Tails. It didn't ask for this life. It's been controlled, beaten up, split apart, absorbed, crucified, and hunted. We need like an Akatsuki Pita or something to make things right. The toad was quick to relay the message to Boruto. The young Uzumaki responded by raising a hand seal, implying that he's about to pull off yet another impressive move. It's time to see what time-space ninjutsu Boruto has up his sleeve. Boruto 2 Blue Vortex continues to bring the heat every single month. Anyone still hating on this story needs to stop lying to themselves before they start looking like Squidward with those Krabby Patties. The only issue I could ever have with any of this is the wait time. At this rate, even though we've made it to the time skip, it'll be another 5 years before we get to see Boruto and Kawaki fight on the ruined Hokage monument. They must think we all have Otsutsuki lifespans or something. Hopefully, we can all make it through together. As always, I'm /Otaku. Thank you all so much for watching and have an awesome day. I love you.